Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome back to another Tips and Tricks Thursday. My name is Derek, and today we're going to be going over a repair that I have a big passion for, and that is how to do the glass only on an Apple Watch. And not just any Apple Watch, but one of the most difficult, an Apple Watch Series 7. Let's get into the video. For those of you that have seen my videos, you'll know that I do a lot of Apple Watch glass repair. In fact, here I've got a small bin full of glass from Apple Watches. Just one of the many bins that I have. They're kind of trophies to me, as each one signifies an hour of my time. So today I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to do it, talking about how difficult it is, specifically where you might go wrong in trying it, but also giving you the hope and assurance that someday you'll be able to do it too. And if this is already something that you do and you have something to add, leave it in the comments below. And make sure you're subscribed and that you like the video if you find it useful. Let's get into the repair. All right, so here we've got an Apple Watch Series 7 45mm. And as you can see, we've got this crack running down the screen with a chip here in the corner. Now, a couple things to note. Here is the display for an Apple Watch, I believe Series 4. As you can see, we don't have the digitizer or glass on it, but it'll give you an idea of how thin these displays are and also the difference between a Series 6 and before and a Series 7 and up. The difference being there is no bezel. Here you can see the back of a Series 7. There is a plastic bezel that goes around the border. It's attached to the display, one unit. And on all of the Apple Watches up until the 7, there was some type of gasket, whether it was a force touch sensor or just an adhesive gasket, like on the SE2, or a plastic gasket with adhesive, like all of the Series 6s. The Series 7 and 8 only have glue holding the plastic bezel that's part of the display down. So the tool that I'm going to be using today is this pry tool that's extremely thin and flexible. Okay, the edge is almost like a razor blade, but won't cut. With the proper amount of pressure, it'll be able to slide it down into the frame like so, right? And because we're not having to worry about a gasket, we're going to be using some isopropyl alcohol. I have it here in a flux bottle where I can kind of drip as I need and put pressure as I want to pop this out. The other thing that I'm going to be using is this thin piece of plastic. You can probably barely see. This is an OCA protector sheet, the one that comes off last. It's perfect for this type of incision. So what I'm going to do is put some pressure here, trying to lift the display, add some isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to insert the plastic. Now, mind you, this is years of experience trying to pack into one short video, so I thoroughly hope you appreciate it. And we'll push this on down in, and we'll try to get into that adhesive layer. It's kind of a thing where you kind of have to go by feel, and you'll find it slide in. On all of the models, you had to be very careful about flex cables and things like that. The Series 7, although you still have to be careful, you don't have to be as careful. Hello. And we'll push until we can get under and start sliding around the frame. And eventually you'll actually get this display to lift up. And we can go back in and carefully go around the perimeter, cutting through the adhesive without damaging the flex cable as we come around. It's on this side right here above the power button. I want to make sure we're not in too far. I'm a little worried about this area. It looks like delamination potentially of the top layer. If that is the case, that's a visual defect that won't go away. So in order to fix that, a new display will be needed. But it could just be some delamination of the glass from the OCA. And that's what I'm really hoping for in this case. Okay, now that the display is off, we can test it, make sure this still works. We don't have any lines going through it. Even though the watch is dead, we can see that the display is working. If we had damaged something, there would be vertical lines, green lines, white lines, black splotches. We would have seen something. So we're good to continue. Here I've got a heat plate, got it set at 100 degrees Celsius. We're just going to set this on here for a minute to help loosen up the adhesive for the flex cables that are attached to the back of the display. Now I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol and we're going to add it right onto those flexes and gently start to pull. If you pull too hard, you can damage the flexes, and you may not even notice that you damaged them because you might have just popped the solder joints that hold them down to the motherboard. So you really want to make sure it's warm, add plenty of alcohol, let it kind of want to come up on its own, don't force it. I'm really being gentle here. Hard to tell how gentle I'm being on camera, but I'm being extremely gentle as I come around and peel this up. Now I'm going to come in with my tweezers, and without scratching the flex cable, I'll slide in, lift that out of the way, slide in, not touching the flex cable, just pulling it away. Gently lift up the latch, that. We'll do the same on this one, and then we will pull straight back and out like that. All right, so now we're going to take some acetone here, and I'm going to go around the border and try to see if I can remove any potential gritty stuff that's on this bezel. You can see all of this stuff. I don't want any of it to potentially get dragged under the glass when we go to remove it. Now this next part is where a lot of things can go wrong. As you see here, we've got a display that got sliced through the polarizer, damaged the display as well, making this completely unusable. And that's because there was an improper insertion of the wire when it came time to remove the display. So with the new display, I'm going to show you the techniques and hopefully convey how to do it. Although the majority of you that try this will end up with something like this within your first few times. I'm going to carefully take some time on this corner that has no issues to remove some of the bezel. We're talking a hairline amount of bezel right at the edge of the glass here. This will create a good insertion point for the wire. It'll also help it to guide along a proper area to start cutting. As you can see, I'm shaving away a very small amount. You wouldn't be able to pick this up by eye outside of the microscope. It's that small amount that I'm removing. I'm just giving away all the tricks today. Happy Halloween, everyone. Probably so little that you can't even tell under a microscope. Probably can't even tell which corner I just worked on, but it's this one. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a bit of this particular packing tape, and I'm just going to tape like this, leaving the corner that I worked on the edge of the tape so I know which one it is. We'll remove the last watch I worked on. Now if you see here with the vacuum heat plate, I've got these 9 holes available. So we're gonna stick it right there. And I'm gonna just tape down these sides here, just like that, because even though we're gonna be giving this a vacuum, these tend to still wanna move because of the suctions. We're gonna be using some wire here. This is 0.035. Still kind of thick for this. If you can get down to a 0.028, that might even be better. But we need to insert it and keep the wire against the glass so that it won't want to run over and grab into the polarizer, killing the display. Polarizers aren't really replaceable on these models and really haven't been in a proper way on Apple Watches from the beginning. But just a heads up, this may happen to you if you try this. So just prepare yourself for that. We'll turn on the vacuum and I'm gonna go and start the wire cutting process. And once I'm in, we're just gonna make some good small motions, and then we'll carefully, keeping pressure on the display or on the glass, we'll cut through the frame and the OCA layer just like that, and it comes off. All right, best case scenario on this particular model is for the adhesive to all remain on the display and not on the glass, because the wire can leave some scratches on the polarizer. All right, so we've got the display connected up, and as you can see, it's still working. One thing though, my fear was true. That was delamination. You can see kind of this ripple effect here. There's actually some up here. So the top layer has delaminated. Let me show you what I mean. I'll carefully clean this off. So I'm just carefully rubbing away the OCA, just revealing the delamination. You can kind of see that wavy pattern forming. Here, if I go to clean it off, normally you'd get this nice black clean display, but you can see all of the delamination. And that is due to the crack having started the delamination, and once you have any amount of delamination, it just gets exacerbated. So we're going to try something interesting. I want to see what happens to the functionality if I remove that top layer. If it's never done it before, but I wonder, given that it's Halloween, we can kind of Frankenstein this a little and see if it comes back to life like that. So here, let me show you this corner. It looks like it should look like with the delamination. Clean this off. That corner is how it normally looks when doing this repair properly, when there isn't a delamination line going through the middle there. So it should all look nice and black like that top corner. All right, so there you can get the true idea of the delamination that we just saw. It's kind of a cool looking delamination. It's quite unique. Yeah, but this top section here, right, you can still see that's how it normally looks if there isn't any delamination. So no wonder we were seeing it form along this crack. So I'm gonna see if we can remove the top layer, see if that's even something that's possible, and see if we can Frankenstein this. All right, so as we can see, we've got some crazy delamination designs going across this thing. No idea if this is just going to make the display not work or the touch have issues. We'll see. But here I'm inserting this tool under this layer. I carefully go around. You can see how it's embedded under the plastic. Go around and see if we can't remove that very carefully. I'll have to go back in and clean up what I'd leave. And we'll carefully work our way around each side and push all the way through. Carefully removing the part that wasn't delaminated. If anyone knows what this layer is specifically, leave it in the comments below, because there's no lines going through it like a digitizer. There's no, as far as I can tell, part to it. Maybe it's for static buildup, maybe it's for just a protective layer between that and the polarizer that I might have just scratched on accident. Hard to say. Alright, if anyone knows what this layer is, let me know. There's really no border to it. That's just a little bit of plastic. There's no border to it. There's no lines running through it. We've still got that really interesting wavy effect going on. That'll disappear with the method we're going to apply the glass. I'm curious to see if this will work as is. So I'm going to show you that next step and see if it works. Oh, and by the way, it's still working properly. So as far as I can tell, we'll have to test the touch when it charges up. All right, so we've got all of those waves in there. We're going to be using a front glass cover. Now this comes with OCA, but due to the waviness, we won't be able to use the OCA. So not only are we trying to Frankenstein this, but we're going to be doing it with the technique, which is to use liquid optical clear adhesive instead of the optical clear adhesive, which comes up with the same result. It just might be slightly less clean, I guess you could say. So what we'll do, I'm just going to double check that this doesn't have any dust on it. And everything that I see, even though there's quite a bit of what I would hate to put under glass there, is not dust or marks that I can't remove by cleaning. So we're going to leave it as is. I'm going to put some Loca on here. We're going to put 3 drops and go really slowly, pipe this out. Here comes 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take the OCA here and we're going to remove it by just rolling like that. That way I can pull on it and remove all of it from this glass without touching the underside. Now here's a fun little trick. When you're going down to install it, right before you touch the glass to the OCA, you pull up on the protector and it creates static in the glass, making the Loca leach on to the glass itself like that, ensuring that you don't get any bubbles. Okay, all right, we'll square that up and we'll let the Loca spread to all edges. And what's quite cool is you could actually see how dark it's going to be and all of the ripples are gone. And we'll just let that spread out to all the edges. I'll lighten that back up, keeps moving. One of the positive sides of the Loca is you can move the glass around versus the OCA where you stick it, it's stuck. That's one positive to the Loca. The other is getting rid of marks because it'll just hide them like it is on this one. You can't even see any of the ripples except for where the OCA hasn't made yet, but it will get there. It'll spread over there like it's spreading to all corners. It'll get there eventually. May take a few minutes, but it'll get there. On tech tip, this stuff works really well for cleaning off camera lenses. If you take a little bit of this on the end of some tweezers and you go to stick it down, it doesn't leave residue behind, but it will lift up everything. All of the dust, the micro dust that won't get cleaned out of the little cracks. You just compress this on and pull it up. Really good for cleaning off because of how sticky it is without leaving anything behind. It's really good at cleaning out camera lenses on the actual camera itself. So give that a try. All right, so it's really close. I'm going to kind of help it along the way a little bit here by giving the glass a teeny squeeze. See if we can't get the loca to move into place. Just like that. All right, apart from the fingerprint, it's looking pretty new. All right, I like the alignment. Now I'm just going to take a UV light and we'll just let the loca cure for a few minutes. All right, so that turned out really nice. A lot nicer than I thought. I mean, it almost looks brand new. Let's give this a good little cleaning. Now, one thing I didn't do at the beginning, should have done, was remove the old adhesive. So we'll do that real quick. Here we go. All right. Now that the adhesive is cleaned off, I'm just going to go and make sure none of the residue is left on. Looks really good. Let's connect this back up to the watch and then test it. First, I'm just going to make sure that these little stickers are not in the way by folding them out like that. And because I'm probably going to be closing this watch up here in a second, I'm just going to take the time to really get in there and clean this bezel. See how, watch this. If I go around the border like this, look at how much gunk gets trapped in there over the years. Looks like it's mainly down on this side. So we'll clean that up. All right, now we'll take the display, grab the flex here. We'll gently insert the flex cables. For some of you, this might be easier to do with the display on a flat surface. We'll slide them both in and then gently push on the little arms and get them to sink all the way into the connectors. We'll flip the flaps down and see if we still have image with the power button. There we go. Let's charge this up and see if it has touch or any other weird issues. All right, so we've got it charged up now. Let's take a look and see if we have touch. Here, we'll do this test. So if we go and we touch the power button, we drag this around. As long as it follows from corner to corner, edge to edge, without any issue, we know we have a perfect touch. So yeah, this is perfect. I mean, it almost looks like there was no delamination of that layer. If anyone knows what this really thin layer is it just like a final protector? It might just be one more layer of protector against the polarizer. There is no like polarization to it. There's nothing that I can tell that's electronic about it. This little black border's just plastic that the rest of it doesn't have. Like, what is this? Anyway, yeah, let's finish this repair real quick. I'm going to take some cold press glue here. I use a second one of these as a cap so that the glue in the tip doesn't dry out. And what we'll do is first let's turn this guy off. And we'll kind of put this somewhat out of the way there for a little bit. We'll come in with the glue and we're going to pipe in a nice steady and as consistent as we can bead of glue all the way around the border. And we just got to line up all of those brackets and push it on down and clean up the border here just in case any of the glue squeezed up and out. And then for clamps, I'm just going to take a rubber band, go around it a bunch of times. Rubber bands can actually, under several loops like that, act just like a clamp. If you've ever seen what happens when you put a bunch of rubber bands on a watermelon, you'll see how powerful rubber bands can be.
That's the last rubber band I have.
And this is sufficient. So one last cleaning around the border here, and I'm going to give it about a half an hour at least before removing the rubber band. just to cure. But this watch is done. And you can't even see, believe me, I've tried, to see any of that, the rippling, that waviness. It's all gone. It looks brand new. Love it. All right, so there we go. All fixed. In my opinion, somewhat of a Frankenstein repair just because of this little piece of plastic. No idea what it is, but apparently it has no effect. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any thoughts. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks a ton for watching. Happy Halloween, and we'll see you in the next video.